What's the deal, you guys? It's your girl Fallon Favors, back for another episode of the Baby Mama Chronicles, where we discuss everything love, light, relationship, and everything in between. Make sure you go back and watch all of my old content. Make sure that you are tapping in, liking, subscribing, sharing. I don't want you to miss anything. Anytime I drop anything new, I want you to be the first to see it. So this is something that I have never done. If you go through some of my old videos, you will see that it's not redundant, right? But it is different variations and ways of being able to look at the baby daddy, baby mama dynamic through a different lens or through different lenses. This is a topic I have never really discussed, and we're going to discuss it today. I'm going to give you 3 tips, okay? 3 tips and 3 tools that you can use before you go down to the court, you guys, and file child support. So I myself have had personal experience with the child support system, being a child of divorced parents and my father being on child support, being on county and public assistance. I'm not afraid to admit I was a very young mother. I did not have my stuff together as I should have, and I did have public assistance. You know, I was on food stamps. I was on, public assistance. And as a result of that, one of the things that I didn't know is that when you go down there to put your name on paperwork and documents saying, hey, I need this free money, a lot of the times they're going to be asking you too, okay, well, who was the father of this child? And I've always known who my baby daddy was. I didn't have of course I didn't have his social or any of his personal information, but I had no idea that by putting him on this paperwork saying that, yes, he is the father, and besides that, he had signed the birth certificate, by putting his information, just his name in the system, they were able to find him, and they began to, take recourse and action to be able to pull funds from him, and it automatically opted me into putting him on child support. I had no idea. What I want you guys to understand from the very beginning of this is that the child support system, family court, marriage court, all of these different institutions and systems that are in place are of very high monetary value to a lot of people. These industries make people a lot of money every single year, including the lawyers, the arbitrators, the counselors. Everybody that's involved in this whole systematic thing that they have going on at the court system, people are making money off of this stuff, you guys. So little did I know, by just trying to get some assistance for me and my daughter, that I would also be kind of throwing my baby daddy under the bus, and that's not what I was trying to do. So ultimately what I ended up doing is, once I was privy to this information and found out, I immediately took him off, and I basically just stopped receiving the cash assistance from the government or from the state or wherever the money comes from. I ceased that, so that way he would not be encumbered by having his wages garnished. He would not have to pay through the courts. We could just mediate and figure out how we were going to take care of our daughter financially. I've also, like I said, been in a situation where my father was on child support. I've actually had to, this is a long story as well, but I'll spare you guys the details. But ultimately, even with me being an adult and a woman of a particular age, my father was still in the system of owing child support for many, many years of back child support. I relinquished my father of the financial obligation and responsibility of having to pay back child support by calling the court office, and I had to do a whole, but it was a due process for me to be able to do that. But I was able to get him off of child support because as a result, his licenses were suspended. Any job that he ever got, his wages would be garnished. And at the time that I did that, I was grown. So there was nothing more financially that he could have done for me. Like, there was nothing more that I wanted from my dad monetarily. It wasn't like my daddy was rich and loaded, had all of this money, and just was keeping his wealth and access for me. The decisions that he made, led him to the financial status that he was in, and my, greatest, I guess, goal would have just been to have a relationship with him in general, not to bleed him for whatever little money that he did have to take care of him or any other children that he had. So as you can see, this thought process that I have and that I've acquired and accumulated, this is something that not many women carry. What I am offering to you ladies, the ladies that watch my channel, because I know you guys want to turn a leaf, you guys want to shift, you don't want to be the typical baby mama, right? You don't want to fall into that stereotype. I want you to begin to challenge these societal norms, not only with just the term of being a baby mama, but all of the things that come with it, including put your baby daddy on child support. You got to put your baby daddy on child support. There are other measures and ways that you can mediate to be able to meet in the middle and find a way to make things work, so that way your child can have the best and healthiest relationship between both parents. So the first tip, or I would say the first step you can take in efforts to circumvent having to go through the child support system in order to be able to raise your child and set visitations and all of that. This is one of the first things that you can do. You want to draft your own agreement between you and your baby's father. If you go online, baby, this is the age of being able to access and find everything. If you go online, I am certain you can find some type of blank template of just a regular partnership agreement or some type of agreement, right? Just between two people, just a standard template that will have some very basic outlines of how to orchestrate an agreement. Meaning you have your name, you have your baby's father's name, the date, the state or the city that you are creating this document, in. All of these different, kind of fields of information that you can enter in to make this document more official. If it's something that you cannot, upload and just type in on your computer, maybe create your own through a Word document. You can also do this through Pages if you have a Mac computer. If you have, of course, a Windows, you can do it through Word. Figure it out, okay? It's 2023. Get it together, figure it out. If you're watching me and you got time for this, you also got time to get the technology together, okay? Make sure it's date stamped for sure. Make sure that it has the names of you and your baby's father. And what you want to begin to do is list out the terms of your parent child relationship between the two of you, right? The things that you want to include in this agreement are going to be obviously visitation. And these are, the same things that they're going to have you do in court, you guys. What you're trying to do is be able to be woman enough, adult enough to be able to handle this on your own. So within this, you want it to have the visitation parameters and all of those things included in the agreement. You want to put in there every single detail that you can. We are going to split the child right down the middle, 3.5 days a week. We will get every other holiday every year starting on this date, or we will collaborate on birthdays. We will take turns on whatever the terms are that you feel are fair and that are just, and that also fit into the schedule of your baby's father. If your baby father worked graveyard shift, so having him take the baby in the evening may not be advantageous for him. You have to take those things into consideration. If your baby's father don't have no job at all, okay? So maybe he has more time on his hands. Maybe he can keep the baby more during the day, or you want to make sure that you're being flexible and that you're not creating this agreement to only suit you. With the information and the knowledge that you have in mind, try your best to consider your baby's father and what is going to work for the both of you for this agreement. Do not send an agreement over that's only going to best benefit and be convenient for you, okay? What you ladies have to understand is that if you took the time to lay down with this man and create a whole baby, he was good enough for you to spread your legs and to let him, create a child or a life inside of you. You need to at least have the common decency and the womanhood to be able to consider where he may fit into how you're going to be raising this child. The next thing that you want to detail, which is also very important, of course, is the financial aspect. So this is probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest reason people will take their baby daddy to child support court. They feel like they need to get some money. I need your money. I want some money. I want some money. What I think is best in this situation and use case, because a lot of women, if y'all keep it real, y'all filing these child support cases, and we talking about large to small scale, okay? You getting $250 a month to ladies that are getting, well, double, triple, quadruple that a month for their child or their children, right? And these women are not itemizing the cost for what it's going to take to be able to raise their children. They're not being held accountable for that. It's just like, okay, you're the mother, I'm the mama, so whatever I spend the money on, it's just and it's due because I have the child the majority of the time, or, I'm the one that's raising the child as the primary parent. Them days is over. And baby daddies, if y'all listening, because I know y'all watch my channel as well and y'all get this information and these resources as well, make sure you're taking an account of what you're spending, of what you're paying for child support, because these women should be itemizing and kind of saying what it is that they're spending the money on, especially if we're talking about large sums of money, okay? But what you want to do in this agreement is you want to lay out how much money you are going to need to raise your child. We're talking about childcare expenses, weekly food allowances. This is especially if you are the primary parent. So if you work out in your agreement as far as visitations that you will have the child the majority of the time, and then the father will have the child maybe every other weekend or on weekends or something, you are the primary parent. So throughout the week, you do need additional assistance for food. If you're not, if you're a working class woman or you have a career, your own business or whatever, you're not on the county, you're not on food stamps. So you do need, assistance for food. Baby, I don't know when the last time you've been to the grocery store. I spend at least $70 to $100 per grocery visit. You know, it's a lot of dietary restrictions in my household too, so maybe that leads to it, but it is expensive. So make sure you are accounting for your food bill. Make sure you are accounting for medical expenses. If you do have coverage, you know, there are co-pays that need to be paid. There are maybe medicines or something that you may need to pay for your child. They may have allergies. Make sure you're accounting for that. Clothes, shoes, recreational activities, of course, you know, dance, soccer lessons, basketball, all of those different things cost money as well. Ballet, gymnastics, baby, those things are expensive. Make sure you're noting those things. Childcare, if you have to work and that person is not, your baby's father is not able to assist you with watching the child while you're at work because they're working or whatever, you will have to pay for childcare if that child is under the age of 6, right? Or maybe even after school childcare if you have to work late into the evening. There are so many expenses, okay? And I'm not negating the experience of being a mother because I've been one for 15 years. So I understand all of the different costs that can be incurred with trying to raise a child, but you want to itemize these things just to show this is where I need all the help. So your little $300 that I'm telling you that to pay, you know, because that's the next thing you want to do. You want to include a dollar amount that will account for some or, some of the cost of the things that you're listing out. And what you will show your baby's father is, I'm really doing you a solid. Because really, if I had you paying half, 50-50 of every single thing that I have on this list, it will exceed what I'm asking you for, right? But you just want to show, and you want to have due diligence to show like, hey, I am just letting you know I'm not BSing with your money. These things are real and I really need help. So itemize everything. In addition, you can also add things like religious values and beliefs, right? You can also add things like travel. You know, is this child under this age able to travel to different parts of the country or out of the country, right? Maybe you have family, that lives abroad or that lives in a different state. Are they able to travel? What are the parameters on that? Whatever it is that you want to lock in as far as how you plan on raising this child for the next 18 years, as far as what you know now, input that into the agreement. And what you want to do is you want to, let your baby's father know, hey, I've drafted an agreement. I would love to be able to sit and talk it over with you. If you want me to send it to you preliminarily, please let me know. This is not set in stone or concrete. You don't want to make it seem like you serving him papers and this is just law and he just has to sign on the dotted line. And you want it to be negotiable. So he should be able to also add in his input if there's something that he doesn't agree with as far as how this agreement is set forth. You need to be able to modify this document, right? This document is not law. He should be able to add in his input, change things, make suggestions on things, and at the very end of it, revise it, make sure that it meets both of the needs of both of you, and sign it. Okay, this is grown folk stuff. Now, this is something that you're doing when you can definitely put aside whatever childish, petty issues that you may have to have everything go through smoothly and clearly. This will keep you out of child support court, one, but it will also have something on paper that is documented, that both of you sign, that is dated. Make sure you guys both date it next to your signature, showing that, hey, we at least attempted to resolve this amicably. So if somebody goes away from this agreement and you do have to take the person to child support court because they do not, follow through with their commitment or communicate with you as to why they're not able to follow through with their commitment, you have something to stand on, okay? Step number 2 or tip number 2, however you want to take it. The next thing, if you're not able to do step 1, because again, we want to kind of start high level and kind of go from there. So if you are not able to fulfill that requirement, then what you want to do is you want to vet someone that can mediate between you two. You want to find like a counselor or somebody that can mediate between you two to try to resolve whatever issues that you may have that may be underlying that are not allowing you to move forward to get to a place where you can communicate on your own. This person is probably best served to be someone who is an elder, who has a little bit of age and experience, maybe someone who's married, somebody who's been through things. I would not suggest to be a mother or father of either of the two parties. That's a biased party in the whole situation. It needs to be somebody unbiased. I wouldn't suggest a family member per se, unless this family member is very high vibe as far as just, how they operate, how they think. You have to be very careful because you don't want anybody infiltrating what it is that you're trying to mediate and make it even worse than it already is. So choose somebody that you feel is quality enough, who has lived enough life experience, somebody that is evolved enough to offer some advice and some assistance that can help you guys figure out, okay, what are we doing? What's the real problem? And get it out. This could be somebody at your church. This can be somebody, you know, somebody that you trust, right? Somebody that you feel is going to be an unbiased party to the situation at hand. Once you get through that and go through that, I think you'll have a good idea of whether or not you can kind of move back to step one once you guys kind of settle through whatever the issues may be. Because a lot of times, you guys, it's just a conversation. We're so afraid to have the conversation, or we're too prideful to have the conversation because we feel like we'll show that we care if that person has been showing us so much that he doesn't care. If we actually vocalize, hey, you hurt me. Hey, I'm still dealing with some emotional things here from this situation that I have not let go of, and I feel like I need closure on. You know, communicate these things. Stop trying to be too tough, because if you was too tough, you wouldn't have to go through child support. You wouldn't have to go through all of that. You'd be able to stand and stare your obligations in the face and be able to knock them out without a problem and keep it moving on to the next thing. So find somebody that can help you mediate. I would say that that's step two. If you're not able to just automatically start out with step one, go ahead and move to step two. So step number three, tip number three, the last thing that I would implore you to do to avoid having to go through child support court, to mediate between you and your baby daddy for your child, I would say the last step, which is one of the steps I think that may be included in the whole child support process, is getting an arbitrator involved. Now, I believe this is someone that is a complete stranger to the both of you. This is not a family friend. This is not somebody that you trust. This is a total impartial party. And I think what you may be able to do, now this is something that I haven't fact checked, so I'm not going to try to speak on what I don't know, but you may be able to enter into a situation like that where you're going through arbitration, where you may not have to physically file child support in order to do this. Maybe you do. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments if that's something that you do have to do. But my only guess is that maybe you can speak to someone and have them potentially mediate between the two of you to see, okay, what kind of agreement we can come to. This is kind of like a last scenario, guys, because if 1 and 2 don't work, you guys still can't get it together with trying to come up with an agreement on your own and trying to communicate, meet each other in the middle, try to compromise, try to do what's best for the child to start off. Not able to do that because you guys have blocks, you know, maybe talking to a family friend, a loved one, someone that you really trust, somebody that you look up to, admire, that can really offer you guys some real sound advice, sound judgment as to how you guys can help raise the child. You know, if y'all not level-headed and strong-minded enough to at least get to that point, I think that's the only alternative. I think that's the last straw, where you need just a complete stranger to come in and try to help you guys and assist you guys, you know. And what I don't want you ladies to run into is situations where you are filing child support or filing cases for child support out of emotion, out of emotional frustration. A lot of the times when we're making these decisions, ladies, for, you know, as it pertains to our children or it's related to our children, these are emotional decisions. They're rash, they're not thought out, they're not logic based, they're about how we feel in the moment. And we don't understand that how these decisions that we're making, the ramifications that they have long term for ourselves and for our children. You sometimes get more flies with honey than you do. What is it, y'all? What's the saying? You get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar or whatever. Sometimes you have to turn on the sweet a little bit in order to make sure things are going according to plan. If you got to take that ego hit, if it's even an ego hit, if you would consider it that, but if you have to do that for the betterment of your child, to make sure your child's life is easier, to make sure that your child has what they need, do what you need to do. Do what you need to do. It shouldn't even be a question. And that goes for males and females. Bite the bullet. Figure it out. You know, and you should be able to do that on your own. Again, ladies, if you have opened yourself up physically to a man enough to the point where you opened yourself up wide enough, girl, to be able to bear his child and have a baby by him, you need to be able to communicate with this person. And I will say, just as a caveat to all of this, you know, if you have a child's father who is abusive, who has been abusive in the past, who is verbally abusive, who is an alcoholic, a drug abuser, somebody that is affiliated with street life or gang life, or somebody who is, you know, just doing too much in the streets, or if you are in danger, if your baby's father puts you in danger, although I will say you probably knew all of that prior to having a baby with him, so you still made that decision, so part of you is still obligated to figure it out. Nonetheless, those are the use cases I feel like it may be applicable for you to file child support if necessary, because sometimes it's just, you know, you can't make it work. You just can't. If you have tried some of these things and you have really put forth your best effort, and you know your baby's father is someone who you cannot communicate with, somebody that is not level-headed, somebody that is not willing to meet you in the middle, is verbally aggressive with you, any of those things, yes, you can file child support. Okay, if you're not getting the financial support that you need, if you know that this person has means and you are struggling, primarily for the women that are really struggling. You have some women that are well-to-do, they want to brag about their degrees, they jobs and all of this money and income and all they have, they're driving luxury cars and this and that. If you got all that, then you can afford to take care of your baby, because you knew who your baby daddy was before you lay down with him, right? And if he's not providing for the child financially, maybe he's coming through in other ways. In those use cases, I don't think that it's relative to put him on child support. Figure out how you can mediate what he can contribute. Take that, use it for the child, for something that the child may need. Children always need something, so that money can be used and allocated towards something. But if you're in that position, maybe not file child support. But if you are struggling, you are missing meals, you are having to scrape and save for you to be able to provide a meal on the table for your child while keeping the lights on, all of that kind of stuff, no, you may need to file child support to make sure that you're getting the support that you need, right? Or go in the county or whatever it is that you need to do to make sure you and your baby are okay. So, ladies, these are just tips. What I don't want you to do is go into these situations irrationally and emotionally, because these people that are in these systems, again, as I mentioned in the earlier part of the video, these are people that are getting paid very well to keep you at a deficit between you and your baby's father being able to communicate effectively and handle this stuff on your own. They don't want you to be able to handle it on your own. They may make it seem that way, but they don't, because they're not going to get that money. Child support court, marriage court, all of the different court systems, this is big business. So if you can find a way to be able to mediate these things on your own, you're also keeping money in your pocket. Not to say that you want to keep money out their pocket, but you are salvaging the integrity of the relationship between you and your child's father. And I know that that is definitely going to assist you long term, and definitely assist with and aid with the health of your child overall. I love you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. As always, let me know your child support experiences. Has child support worked for you? Has it not worked for you? Baby daddies, please let me know your experiences in the comments. I want to know about your experiences too. We'll be back very soon for another video. And yeah, can't wait. Love you guys. Peace.